Congratulations. And of course, we're so excited that he's here. You've already seen him, Bobiwine.
Yes, Mr. Plantain!
Wow, Bobby. Having seen just this,
7 months to
and
go.
you just walk up these stairs and being in seemingly such good spirit, how are you? How have you been this year?
I'm alive.
We're happy. But have things changed ever since Christopher stopped filming?
Yeah, they've changed. They change every day for the worse. Just today, it made 8 days since another of my bodyguard was abducted and 7 other people. So every day it gets worse and worse, but we get stronger every day.
Stronger in spirit or also in support? How can you tell about the support?
In every way, every day we realize that our only option is to get strong, you know, so we get stronger because we get more desperate. We see less to lose, but more to gain every day.
Yes, Mr. President.
Yeah, Christopher, we could see under what conditions you've been filming this. I just couldn't stop wondering how on earth could you actually, shoot this film?
Making a film is a massively collaborative, as many filmmakers I'm sure are here. It's a massively collaborative occupation, and there were many people. You know, the directors often end up getting the credit. My co-director can't be here. He is Moses, and he's in America. He's actually seeking asylum because he's Ugandan, and after this film there's no way he can go back to Uganda. But so many people put themselves out to make this film, and the footage came from many different extremely brave people. Unfortunately, in Uganda, journalists and cameramen get no special treatment. There's not such a thing as if someone's seen as a press or a journalist, they're protected. Many people filming got injured. Moses actually got shot in the face at one point, and there's many cameramen, some of whose footage we used, who were on the campaign trail in the thick of it with Bobby and the team, who suffered really terrible things. So this film is really a tribute to all of those people and all of the Ugandans, and there's lots of people we couldn't credit in the film because they're still in Uganda, it would be unsafe for them. So it's a massively collaborative effort.
Has there been did you come to a point that you considered you had to stop filming because of you were putting people at risk?
Yeah, I mean, very much so, but it's almost felt like I grew up in Uganda. I was born in Uganda, and I have a special love for the country. And it just felt like we couldn't stop. We would be letting people down. And whatever we went through, whatever the filmmaking team went through, was nothing compared to what people in Uganda have been through and what Bobby and his team have gone through. In Uganda, just by having the slightest association, it might be a sticker on your motorbike, it might be wearing a red t-shirt. Any association with Bobby and his team puts you at massive risk. So people are daily sacrificing. So as filmmakers, we certainly didn't feel that we could not carry on filming. We had to carry on filming because we were taking far less risks by a long way than Bobby and all of the Ugandans who have really put themselves on the line.
And Bobby, you've been working under incredible conditions we've been seeing. What about Barbie and the kids? Are they still coping, or how do they cope?
Barbie and the kids have been an amazing pillar of support to me. They continue to be, you know, maybe I wouldn't stand as firm as I am if I'm firm. There's so much about Barbie that is not in the movie. Just like there's so much brutality that was kept out. In fact, at one point I was asking Chris, why did you decide to make this film so clean? Because we thought that it was an opportunity to show the world how brutal it can be. But he guided that if we show too much violence, you know, it might even disgust people and doesn't get the viewership that we hope to get. So this is not even a fraction of the violence that happens there. But Barbie has been a source of support for me and the children. They are still there. They are used to it, not that it does not affect them, but, you know, it's the reality they know. Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher, when we spoke before, you said when Bobby saw the film for the first time, he said to you, my God, why did you just leave out all the violence of what we just saw the film?
He actually said, why did you make Museveni look so good? And I was a bit shocked by that. No, I mean, what happened was we spent 2.5 years in the cutting room, and we looked at cutting this film many, many different ways. We filmed people who had been tortured in medieval ways. We filmed people who had had their fingers chopped off. We filmed the most awful, awful suffering. And at various points we had more of it in the film. But ultimately, I think you can just get to the point where it's just too much. And we decided as filmmakers that the film would be far more powerful if you saw the whole thing through Bobby and Barbie and those close to them. If you felt their pain, it would relate far more than just seeing a catalogue of horror. But the one thing I can assure you, that catalogue of horror is there, and it's pretty awful.
Bobby, at a certain point when you're in Washington and you're being interviewed by a TV journalist, she asks you, in case you do become president someday, we all hope, how do you prevent not becoming like the guy that you are fighting, she was asking you. And then you said to her, we've got to empower the people. I fear that as well, I've got to empower the people. And then I thought, okay, empowering the people, that's like 10 points. But then, what about ruling a country? Because we're looking at a country, I've also lived there. I know it is a rotten country if it comes to bureaucracy and how it is governed. It's like 3 decades of corruption, of stealing ministers. Yeah, it's like the crony elite. How could you change such a system?
Thank you. It's true that looking at Museveni, General Museveni, who was one time a favorite to so many of us admired General Museveni, the younger version of him. So looking at what he has become now, it scares us and proves to us that anybody can get corrupted. So our trust is not in individuals, and we're not trying to build individuals, not even myself. We believe in building institutions that will hold all of us accountable. And we can only do that when we do it together, so that any leader that rises after General Museveni is accountable to the people and is held accountable by those institutions which cannot be, you know, subjected to human greed and human corruption. Yeah.
Yeah, if you look at the situation in Uganda now, it is quite depressing. If you look at the state of public education, the state of public health, all those systems are bankrupt. Huh? So you also sing about that. Why is education so expensive? Only if you've got plenty of money, you can buy a good education for your child. So where would you then, I mean, imagine you do get power. Where would you start? How do you rebuild back what has been broken down?
First of all, like we say, it's not about an individual to rebuild it. But first of all, to take power, absolute power, out of the hands of an individual. That will change so much. Today, all the budget, all the preoccupation of the Ugandan government is keeping power. Not improving lives, not improving service delivery, but keeping power. That is the focus. And once we change the focus, once we know that a leader will come and go, then whichever leader comes will seek to leave a good legacy, will seek to appease the people through service delivery, through better governance, so that the people who actually have the power can always re-trust that leader or that party or that group with power. So ultimately, to take power back in the hands of the people, so that a leader has to appease the people by doing better and creating a better Uganda, so that that leader will always be reappointed by those people.
In the film, you ask the question, you say, do Western donors who are putting so much money into this government, are they actually seeing what is happening? But it's very unlikely that they don't know. So how, Christopher, because you're looking at this as well, how do you explain that still like millions, maybe billions of dollars are poured into a country that is like such a clear and brutal dictatorship?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I found particularly depressing is you make the film and there's a fair amount of press and, you know, everyone's coming out, the New York Times, Washington Post, everyone's coming out and saying how awful this is, and journalists, and, you know, you have American government saying they're concerned, and you have the European government saying they're concerned. And then the election passes, and the Minister for Africa in Great Britain tweeted, "I congratulate the Ugandan people on a peaceful election." And then, very quickly after that, everything's forgotten and is business as normal. I mean, the West is culpable in this, I'm afraid, because we give millions. Bobby says in the film, the Americans give over 100 million. In fact, it's over 1 billion. And the European Union gives huge amounts of money. Everyone gives huge amounts of money. And the reason this happens is it's very convenient to have someone like Museveni there. He does, you know, he has troops through the African Union in Somalia, in Congo, and he's considered to be someone who does some work for our interests. But the cost of that is the cost to the Ugandan people. The cost is to 44 million people. And it really, really is tragic that our interests are put before people like the Ugandan people. And it's just, it goes so quickly, it just goes back to business as normal.
So you're saying he's considered an ally for European and other international players. What is needed, Bobby, for the international community to no longer sacrifice the interests of the Ugandan people and choose actually for these people? What is needed to change that attitude?
I want to sound polite, but that comes at the risk of sound politically correct. I would rather sound real. And if I was to be real, I would say what is needed is to stop the hypocrisy. It's for the West to stop being partners in crime. Like I said, this is awful, but it's not even 1% of the crime that General Museveni is committing on the people of Uganda. And we are united together, first and foremost, as members of the international community, by values that we hold together, values of democracy, respect for the rule of law, and respect for human rights. When Saddam Hussein did what General Museveni is doing to the people of Uganda, he was sanctioned. When Robert Mugabe did to the people of Zimbabwe what General Museveni is doing to the people of Uganda, he was sanctioned. When Charles Taylor did the same, when Gaddafi did the same, he was sanctioned. Why then is General Museveni not being sanctioned? You know, all that General Museveni is doing is up there for the international community to see. We are trying to go by the values of non-violence. We are many, we are angry, we are young, we can choose to be violent, but because we know this is not part of the values that the world holds together, why is the moral international community supporting what is immoral? These are seen as big democracies, the democracies in Europe. Why are they not supporting democracy? Why are they supporting dictatorship? So let them stop sponsoring tyranny in
Yes. Yes, Mr. President. Yes.
Christopher, I assume this film, of course, could help getting people to see what is really happening. Are you making sure the film gets access also to politicians, for example? Will it be screened in the European Parliament or such a thing?
Yeah, I mean, we're hoping two things happen. One, we're hoping that the people in the West, people in the developed world, understand what's going on in Uganda. And secondly, we want to give hope to the people of Africa. You know, so many people in Africa have suffered under tyranny. And when you have someone like Bobby and Barbie and David and Nubian and all these people who stand up, and they are African heroes. They really are African heroes. And I think it's great for Africa to have such visible heroes, and they need to really be celebrated.
And then Bobby, like last elections 1.5 years ago, probably if Museveni falls down dead, his son is there to be his successor. How will you move ahead from here?
How will we move ahead from here? We'll fight on. We are not going to stop fighting. We are not going to fight violently, at least not yet. We are going to continue using the tools that we have. First and foremost, we are very glad that along the way we met up with people like Chris that helped us, you know, bring the plight of the people of Uganda on the world stage. We want to continue challenging the international community because we know that if it was not the support of the international community, this would not happen in Uganda. And if Europe and America wants this to stop, it will stop. But if
Yes.
we don't want it to stop,
Yes, Mr. President.
you know, right now we don't even have the guts to talk about an election because we just saw an election made in hell. So we will continue creating as much awareness as possible. We know that without bringing it on the world stage, slave trade would not end. But by exposing it, it ended. We know that colonialism would not end if it was not exposed. By exposing it, it ended. We know that one day, it might take a lot of time, it might take a lot of lives, but one day dictatorship will stop. Maybe, just maybe, the West will feel ashamed of the hypocrisy and it will stop. And it will end.
You say we fight back non-violently. We saw you doing that also when being arrested. But you said we won't use violence, not yet. What will be like? Where is the border? Where is the boundary where you say now we have no other choice than using violence.
We're not saying we. While we, and that means me and the team that I lead, we strongly believe in non-violence. But every day I get scared that a time will come when I can no longer control the oppressed people of Uganda. And I fear that time. I hope that it does not come. But I can no longer guarantee it anymore, because even while we are non-violent, we are responding to with brute force. We will continue being non-violent, but we are losing justification of stopping those that want to liberate themselves and want to liberate themselves by any means necessary.
You can't control the masses after a certain point. Then Bobby, finally bringing us back to where it all started. Are you still making music?
Yeah, I'm still making music, although as we stand now, my music is banned in Uganda.
It is banned?
Yeah, my music is
from
banned.
the radios?
From the radios and the TV stations, and also my concerts are abolished. I cannot be seen, or my music, just playing my music, gets people arrested, some tortured, and all that goes with it. However, I still do music thanks to social media. My music is still listened to on social media, and I still use music to pass messages.
Yeah, we've seen how strong that is, of course. No other presidential candidate has ever had that much swag, so that's fantastic. Bobby, listen, I think we all wish you to, gain and conquer that victor's crown, so don't give up. And we hope to see you back, but also see you like a...
Thank you. Just one more thing. While the light is shown on me, it is not just me. I'm just a representation of so many young men and women out there. And present here today, I traveled with my producer, my brother Dan Magic, is in the I also came with my brother, David Lewis Wongoya, is also in the house. Thank you. I just thought I should share this light with them. They are amazing human beings.
Thank you. Well, finally, Christopher Sharp, thank you very much for being here and for also screening and giving this stage to this African hero. And then finally, give a final huge applause to our African hero, Bobiwine. Well, thank you.
I almost forgot to recognize another brother. He's an award-winning writer. He faced torture at the hands of General Museveni's son, and he ran out of Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Kakwenza Rukirabaseja, a great writer.
Company, Mr. President.
I went up and down.
Mr. President. Mr. President, kakubuze kandi kafukamira nadda Mr. President kwagaranya naye aiwe bale kujja Mr. President banange
Wow. Mr.
Wait, I'll take a picture.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm done. Sole. Mr. President. And one president mumulabe bana yekiri wano tuli ku president ogamba ki bana ndi live wano museke mulabe tulina secretary temulina kyemutugamba banange ni wano live buyakobe bana mwakiri wano president mumulabe
I still can make a picture.
Can you have it? Kekiriwo.
Wano.
Muzeeko kumalulisi daga mukula.